Welcome back to a little more Kinstretch. I have a lovely assistant and friend here, Marlie, who as a professional dancer has taken a ton of ballet classes in her life, and we put our heads together and came up with a series of positions and movements that are very specifically focused on building the tools that someone might need who is doing some ballet. But as we were working through it, we were realizing that many of these positions actually are really tough positions to work on and important for anybody who's going to do anything, not necessarily in ballet class. So we're going to dig into a little longer class, dig into a few different shapes, and I'm curious to hear how it lands in your life, whether or not you're a dancer or not, whether or not you do ballet or a different type. I think it could be very eye-opening for you. So let's go ahead and talk through props. You're going to need a yoga block as well as a bath towel that will roll up. A pillow could work as well, but bath towel is really ideal. And then a little bit of wall space. If you don't have a clear wall space, then a countertop or a tabletop will work nicely for the standing work we're going to work on, or even like the back of a chair could work too. So you got some options there. And then, of course, some floor space, and that's where we're going to start, is on hands and knees on the floor. So just come down, find your comfortable quadruped position, and we're going to begin just by working on some spinal articulation. So feet are heavy, muscles are on, and then start the motion from your head, pulling your chin into your neck, and then rounding the back of your neck, and stretching through the upper back, mid back, lower back, and then finishing that up by curling your tailbone under. Just hold there, take a breath in and out, and feel that shape as actively rounded as possible. And you can think to yourself, this is spinal flexion. All right, that's going to help later. Now from here, reach your chin away from your neck first, and then lift your chin toward the ceiling. Reach your collarbones forward and start noticing that stretch from the chin all the way down through the sternum and the front of your stomach until you're lifting your tailbone to the sky. Hold here as well. Find that breath cycle and feel if you can extend your spine anymore. This being spinal extension and really going to be the focus of one of the setups we'll work on a little later. Keep going back and forth into flexion and extension in this articulated segmental way for another 30 seconds. And really, I encourage you to make this cat-cow moment work for you. If you're just warming up, or maybe it's early in the day, maybe you're using a little less tension and you're just finding what is available in terms of motion of your spine and articulation of those joints. Maybe you're warming up and you want to make a little more strength happen in your body for this workout. You can get that input. You could turn up the intensity of this cat-cow. So all of our cars have this ability to just turn up or turn down based on what you're hoping to work on. And 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Wherever you might be in that car, let it go, shake it out, and go ahead, come down into a seated position. And you can do this just seated on the ground or lean back against a wall or a couch, whatever you've got, so your body's nice and relaxed. And you're going to wrap your right arm around your right thigh, and then, if possible, grab onto your left bicep, so your left hand can come right onto your shin, and then you can lift that foot off the ground. If that doesn't feel great, you could just bring your hands together and bring that thigh off the foot off the ground, so you have clear ability to move that ankle around. And then we'll start gas pedal up, push the toes out to the side, down into plantar flexion, toes come across, and then back up into dorsiflexion. And just keep going in this circle, trying to really feel articulation of each angle, not letting any motions jump by quickly, but actually trying to move smoothly through, trying to articulate through each and every available position. And pause wherever you are, start going the other way. Good. And that hand on the shin can be super helpful to feel that this motion is really just happening at the bottom of your lower leg at that ankle joint and not accompanied by knee motion or shin motion. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. Let that go. Let's get the same tasty inputs for the other ankle. Wrapping up the left thigh and hand on shin if possible. And then from here, start gas pedal up. And just take a moment to notice, are your toes volunteering to do even more of that motion? If so, can you clarify the ask in your body to just be at that ankle? Let the toes be an extension of the foot. And then begin your car, reaching your whole foot out to the side, down toward the floor to get into plantar flexion, which is another position we'll be working extensively on today. Good. And keep your circle smooth. I love ankle cars for the fact that you can look at the motion and just start to see, does it look smooth and controlled or does it look herky-jerky? If so, you know what to do. Smooth it out. Make it even more buttery. Pause wherever you might be here and start going the other way. Noticing any snaps or cracks or pops in the ankle, very common and totally fine so long as there isn't any pain with those noises. Good. 10 more seconds. Feeling contraction, feeling effort through the whole ankle and calf and shin area. 3, 2, 1, and relax. Great stuff, okay? So we'll move away from the ankle and now move up to the hip. For this, you'll come into a side-lying position. You can throw a block or a towel under your head. Yep, perfect, okay? And make sure you're comfy there. We'll lay down on the left side, so the right side is up. It's the working leg. And then start with a brace with your top arm reached out in front of you. This is going to be helpful for us as we work through some variations on the hip car. So just find that straight-ish arm, heavy press, and then even get your body weight behind it. So you're really like trying to pin something down under that hand. Then with the top leg staying bent, reach your heel behind you and work through just a medium to low effort hip car here at first. So you're trying to keep your body still as you move that knee in through its full range of motion up to the ceiling, up towards your chest, and then back to the other knee. Keep going in this direction, bringing the knee towards the floor, behind you, keeping your spine still, and then up towards the sky, and then up towards your armpit, chest, belly button. Keep it rolling. Medium to low so that you have lots of ability to stay aware and feel what's going on. There's definitely a time and place for more intensity, but it's not quite now. Wherever you might be, pause, bring the knee in the other direction. So you're going through the hip car in that reverse course. And just like the ankle, you're sort of scanning for those spots where your knee tries to jump or your hip motion becomes a little less smooth and clear. Good. Noticing those angles where your body is trying to speed up and making sure you're moving smoothly. And next time your knees come together, you can just relax and hang there. Okay. So with your knees together, take a second to feel into how straight you can make your leg here. So straighten out that knee. Now, depending on your hamstring tightness, it might not be available for you to fully straighten it there. So change the angle of your leg to whatever you need to be so that you can really lock out the knee and feel some active quad effort on the top of the thigh. Okay. And now we're going to do a straight leg hip car, but just a note, as soon as your leg straightens out, this now becomes a much heavier thing for your hip to move around, which both means we're going to find a smaller car and it's going to require a lot more brace from the midsection, okay? So with that hand, that top hand, pressing into the ground, add a bunch of intensity to that, 10 to 20% more effort, 10 to 20% more in the midsection, And then once you feel ready, float that leg up right off the ground. Start smoothly arcing it behind you, trying to cut the grass with your foot without dragging it on the floor. As you approach extension, your knee is going to try to bend. So go as far back as you can without bending your knee, then lift up towards the ceiling, keeping your torso completely side-lying. And then noticing your thigh will start to rotate to come forward. And that's perfect. That's that hip car, bringing the straight leg up towards that bracing arm and then back towards the floor. Keep going in this direction, just another 10 seconds. Fighting for that knee the whole time. So again, being okay with a smaller hip motion, but really being adamant about the body staying still and the knee staying locked. Good. Once your foot comes around, set it on the ground for a moment, take a breather. Whew, that is a tough drill, but we got to go the other way. So find that brace, take a breath out to really sense into your abs, and then here we go, straight leg up towards your bracing arm, bottom of your foot towards the ceiling, not letting your belly button roll or turn, and then start to send that straight leg behind you, feeling into all that active effort required to move a straight, long leg through your full range of motion. Good, 15 seconds, team, you got this. Breathing around braced abs, heavy hand, feeling that voice maybe to rest, which is coming in 3, 2, 1, and relax. Good. All right. Come on to your other side and let's get the other hip warmed up to this same level. Good. So we're choosing that straight leg hip variation just because we're going to be working a lot on the hips from a straight leg position. So it's all about getting specific. That really helps your body. Okay, and then top arm is straight and braced. Top leg is bent to start. Just a 30 to 50% effort here as we start to drive your heel behind. As close to the ground as possible. And then shin to the ceiling. Wrapping that knee around, arcing smoothly. Knee up towards chest and then belly button. And then keep going in this direction. Trying to reach that knee closer to the ground. Further behind you, higher to the ceiling, and more towards your chest, but never letting your spine move to create that position with your leg. So it's really about what's available just from the hip. Good. Now wherever you are, pause and go the other way. Very good. Looking for that smooth, controlled motion. Not letting this become a race to see how fast you can go or how many reps you can get done, but really trying to stay in the moment of what is at your hip, what is happening, what are the sensations that you feel. No one else can feel those. And relax. Good. Okay. Take a breath. Straighten out that top leg, placing it on the ground wherever you need to really get your spine neutral again. So we don't want the motion of your knee to have pulled your spine out of position. Okay. And then heavy hand, turn up the brace big time here. So if I was there, I couldn't lift your hand off the ground because you're putting your whole body into it. And then keep that knee locked out as we start the motion. Straight leg hip car moving behind you into hip extension. Then keeping that knee straight, moving the sole of your foot to the sky. Then keeping that leg straight as you arc around, up towards your braced arm, and back towards the ground. Now if you can touch the ground, do it, but don't rest the leg on the ground. Just cut the grass as short as you can, up towards the sky once you extend your hip fully. All the way around, and freeze once you get back to the floor. Set that foot down, take a breather. Good. So when we're working at these higher intensities, it should be clear to you when you relax that everything melts, and then you have a chance to set up your spine again, set up your brace, turn everything on without movement yet, and then invite the movement in. This time the leg floats and comes towards your braced arm. The sole of your foot goes towards the ceiling as your spine stays completely braced and still. Send that leg behind you, looking for the contractions on the back side of your hip, and then cutting that grass as tight as you can with your foot for another pass around. Keep your brace going. 15-second core exercise. Keep working with that brace. 6, 5, 4, 3. Spending effort in every corner and wherever you are, just relax. Good. Let that go. Okay? I know it can be hard to do a partial hip car, but we'll do plenty, so you'll be good. All right. Now, let's go ahead and get into our first setup, which is going to be for spinal extension. And this one, you're going to want to start laying on your front, laying on your stomach. You won't need your towel. Coming onto your front of your body and then just placing your hands on the ground right underneath your shoulders so those elbows are bent. Okay? Now, to start here, we're going to just see how much spinal articulation is available for you to move into extension. Okay, so go easy at first, how far you go, by bracing your feet into the ground, bracing your hands, and then start with your head. Float that head off the ground. Try to lift your collarbones away from the floor, then your sternum. So we're working down your spine segment by segment into spinal extension, slowly straightening your arms to support this, and just lifting your chest to the sky as much as feels safe for your lower back. So this is much more about checking in with your body and much less about pushing your body to do anything. Then from here, keeping your hands strong, start to place the front of your body back down on the ground, starting with your pelvis, moving up through your belly button area, through that bottom of your rib cage, sternum, and then finally the collarbones, and then you can rest your head down. Good. This time I want you to do the same exact thing, but just try to make the motion smaller so that we're actually articulating even more in a detailed way. All right? So hands are heavy to support, feet are heavy, then start lifting your head, then collarbones. Really trying to find a joint to articulate through your spine in that upper back. Stretching the front of your sternum, the front of your belly, stopping wherever feels safe for you, but also continuing through the motion if it does feel safe. Whenever you get to end range, keep your chest lifted and just start placing your stomach back down on the ground from the bottom of your body upwards. Good. Really trying your best to articulate your spine back into a neutral shape on the floor. Good. Okay. Now just stay there for a second if you want to just turn to see Marlie here for this next setup. What we were just doing should have felt pretty active through your arms, maybe some work through the spine, but now we're going to really try to use those arms to put some work in a specific segment area. So in a moment, keep watching, in a moment, you're going to find your end range extension at wherever was your stopping point, or maybe just before. So Marlie, go ahead, come up to the spot you're going to work. Okay, so this is really by feel. She's looking for where is that extension, maybe in the lower back, that feels like a stop sign where she wants to work. Now, let's be clear, it's not a pain stop sign. It's a I want more extension and I don't have it stop sign. Okay, so it should actually feel more like a stretch and less like compression in the lower back. Go ahead and come into this position, and as you get set up into it, if you do hit that compression spot, I want you to just drop down a little bit and work from there. Okay, so you can kind of set yourself up as needed so your arms don't burn out. Okay, and as you join us here in your end range extension position, your belly might be on the ground or you might be up off the ground. Totally acceptable. All right, now from here, feet get heavy, hands get heavy, and start our Pal's contraction by trying to drag the floor towards your feet, feeling your arms turn on, but then trying to send that contraction right onto the front part of your spine where we're focused. Ramping this up to a strong but safe feeling effort for 5, 4, 3, 2. Now stay in position, but switch to trying to lift your chest more, but not with your hands. Lifting with your back of your body to send the contraction to your back, to shorten or even cramp that very area that we were just working on for 4, 3, 2, 1, and then relax, melt down, and take a break. So that's a lot of work for your upper body, okay? Now, just a note here, while Marlie's relaxing, you can just take a look here. Let's say she was focusing somewhere on the spine like here. That's probably close, but again, it'll be based on sensation. So if that's the spot, the first drill, the first isometric, is going to be focusing contraction on the front side of her spine and the front side of the body. Then when I say switch over, you're going to be focusing on contraction on the back side of the body. So the position of the vertebrae don't change, but the focus of the contraction will switch from the front of the body to the back of the body. All right? Let's see if that helps for our second and final input here. So again, articulate your spine up, going slow so you can scan. Okay, where do I want a little more extension? Okay, that might be based on a position you need in a dance or in your life, or it might be based on something we've assessed together that you need more extension in. And then from here, get braced through your feet, brace through your hands, and then without letting your spine move at all, start to try to pull the floor towards your feet to specifically engage contraction on the front side of your body. So you're trying to shorten the front of your body, but your arms and legs are too strong. They're not going to let your spine move. Find that greatest safe feeling effort for 5, 4, 3, 2, keep your position. Now switch to trying to make the back side of your body contract, which might help you find lighter hands on the floor. The hands will not come off the floor, but that's what we're eventually working towards, is having the strength to hold this spinal shape without the need of the hands. For 5, 4, 3, 2, and keep your position as you relax, and then come down out of this shape. Okay, so that's some heavy-duty inputs for your spine. So let's go ahead and give some gentle articulation to the spine in cat-cow just to integrate that spot in. Okay, so come on up. I know those arms are a little tired and shaky. Woo, buddy. And just find a cat-cow or a quadruped rather position that feels good for you. If you needed to put your forearms on a block, that'll work fine. And then from here, braced feet and hands, just about 30% effort. And start moving that chin first, pulling your chin into your neck. Rounding your upper back. Good. Rounding through your mid-back. And then this should probably feel pretty good, really rounding that area that we were just extending. Good. And then keep that area flexed, keep your tailbone tucked, start reaching your chin away from your neck. Finding that length and that stretch through the front side of your neck, front side of your torso. Not letting your tailbone come uncurled until you've made your way all the way down your spine. And this is the opportunity to feel into those muscles we were just training into extension and see, does it give you more sense of that position? Good. Now, one final piece here, as you stay extended, start your tailbone curling under now first to move back into flexion from the bottom up. So we can just scan through that area one more time. Yeah. Rounding through the low back, spilling that into the mid back, upper back, and then finally the back of the neck. and we'll let that go. Good work. Okay, so any notes or sensations that come to mind, write them down because I definitely want to hear about them. And then now we're going to move to the hips and work from standing at the wall. So go ahead, come up to standing, grab your yoga block, and you're going to set up here facing the wall with your arms about shoulder height and about an arm's distance length away from the wall. So your arms are nice and straight. And then you're going to set that block up. Let's work on the left leg first so you can see. Set that block up right behind your heel in this orientation so that it'll work for our setup. Okay? Once you're here, take a moment to pull your hands like downward on the wall without moving to feel your brace and feel your arms come alive. And then even feel if you can get a little tuck of your tailbone. Okay? This is all just in service of feeling your abs really working. Now keep that working, straighten out your left leg completely, and then use that straight leg to push the block behind you, which should be a hip motion. So you're feeling contraction on the back of the hip. When you can't push the block behind you anymore before your knee bends, that's your position. You can relax your body for a second, keep your stance, and just place your left leg on that block. Okay. So this gives you now a picture of what position we're really working on, which is straight leg, hip extended position from standing, okay, which is very specific to some of the dance tasks that Marlie asks her body to do. So for this setup, let's start by feeling a PRLs contraction. Hands are strong, pulling down on the wall, curl your tailbone, find that brace through the front of your body, and then ask your leg to get completely straight. Find that knee lock. And then with a locked knee, gently at first, start pushing down into the block with the top of your foot. Okay? Gently at first so that you can feel tension light up on the front of the shin, front of the knee, quad, even up to the front of the hip, and up into your upper body as well. So this becomes a full body experience. Continue ramping up that pressure to your greatest safe feeling PRLs contraction. Good. 5, 4, 3, 2. Now keep your body position and just relax, but keep that knee straight. And then make sure your abs are still tight, your tailbone's still curled under. Now we go for a little rails contraction. So without lifting your foot, start asking for contraction right from the back of your hip, right from your glute, and see if that can't give you the feeling of lightening your foot on the block without lifting it. Because if I tell you to just lift your foot, you will bend your knee 9 times out of 10. Okay, so we want that leg to stay straight and just ask for inputs on the back of the hip. 5 more seconds, trying to open up the front of your hip through the contraction on the back of your hip and relax. Awesome. Okay, you can just step away for a second and bring that block behind your right foot so we can get the same setup going on the other side. Okay. Now clearly when we do a standing drill, the standing leg, the non-working leg, is actually asked to work super hard. So shake out however you need. Make sure you feel stable through that left leg that was just working. And then hands pull down on the wall, find your brace, curl your tail, and just slide that block behind you with a straight right leg. Find however much you can get. Doesn't matter what it is for you. Don't let the knee bend to do it. And then place the top of your foot on that block. Yeah, as comfortable as you can get. It's not the most comfortable setup for your foot, but it's worth it for the specificity of the hips. All right, and then once you think you're there, pull down on the wall and find that ab brace. Find that tailbone curl. Find both legs are totally straight, and then gently begin pressuring that block down into the floor. As you build that up, keep scanning your body and make sure nothing in your spine or arms or other leg are moving to accommodate the pressure. Keep adding pressure. Building up your PRLs contraction to your greatest safe effort. Making sure this feels like a whole body experience. 5, 4, 3, 2, keep your shape, but just relax that PRLs pressuring of the block. Check that your right knee is still completely straight. Check that your upper body's braced, tailbone's curled, abs are on. And now start asking the back of your right hip to turn on even more. Contracting now that shortening side of the joint. And maybe getting that foot light on the block without lifting it. Good. So I like to imagine my foot is super glued to the block and I'm trying to send the whole thing further back on the floor. I'm trying to open up the front of the right hip as I fully contract or even cramp the back of the right hip. For 5, 4, 3, 2, and relax. Oh yeah. Okay. Now from here, bring that block back behind your left leg. Woo! Yeah, this is a whole body experience, so be sure to pace yourself here. As I say, greatest safe efforts. Maybe not max efforts, but just south of there, so you're able to keep going. Now, as you're set up on this side, you're going to do the same drill of just sliding that heel behind you as far as you can without your spine extending. Good. Now, when you place your foot on the block, I'll invite you to change the rotation on the joint a little bit. So you might externally rotate that thigh. Good. You could vary that just based on where you're feeling the stretch or where you're needing that motion. But as you do, just make sure your pelvis doesn't turn and your spine doesn't extend. So Marlie, show me a big spinal extension for a moment, how that would help you. Yeah, that would help her externally rotate further. So we want to make sure it's specific to the hip and not let the spine extend. Okay. The other wild card here is that we're going to link the PRLs and the rails right together. So just be on the lookout for that. You'll go right from pressuring the block down to making the leg light right in the same moment. Okay, so get braced. Pull your hands downward on the wall. Curl that tailbone under to feel your abs. Keep that back leg straight as you begin pressing the leg down into the block, maybe at a slightly different angle this time. That different angle will definitely mean you use different tissue, so you're going to feel it in a different place. Keep building up to a strong but safe and sustainable feeling effort, and hold it for 5, 4, 3, 2. Keep your body braced and strong. Keep your spine still. Keep that knee locked and switch to rails. Find the contraction on the back of the hip that would make your leg light behind you. Not actually asking for a lift off because we know you're at end range. Holding that contraction, trying to cramp your butt for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Relax it. Good. Shake it out, even take a little walk around, and then come back for your second input for that right leg in just a moment here. Okay, nice. And we'll do this same setup here with that slide of the block, sending it back behind you as you get into this final effort for hip extension. Okay, and then once you place the foot, play with rotating that thigh externally. You could even try rotating internally and you might find different tension there. But you just got to pick a slightly different angle here. And then from there, make sure the knee is straight. The spine is neutral, so curling your tailbone under a little bit to help you. Pulling down on the wall to feel your upper body. And then gently begin pressuring that right foot down into the block. Turning on your PRLs tissue, finding that PRLs contraction. Ramping that PRLs contraction up progressively and smoothly, up to a nice significant full body effort, and then past that to your greatest safe but sustainable contraction. 4, 3, 2, keep your body position still, and now switch to a rails contraction, trying to send your straight leg further behind you, keeping your spine still, bracing with your arms, trying to cramp the back or the side of your butt, depending on what feels short and contracted here, for for 3, 2, 1, and relax. Nice. We got a little stanky leg going on with that leg shake. Nice job. So give yourself that moment to break, grab some water if needed, pause the video, walk around, whatever you need, and then we'll continue working here. So next setup, we're gonna now come away from the wall, come down to the floor, and work from the floor on your ankles and your knees, and hit some specific tissue there. So I invite you to just lean back against something so your hips can relax for a moment. And then we'll be working on both feet or ankles at the same time. So start with just a little knee bend, relaxed comfortably back, so your hips are relaxed. And then just kind of test here, do a little tester rep and get a sense. Make those toes heavier, the forefoot heavier, and see if you're able to lift your heels away from the ground using the pressure of your toes and forefoot. Okay? Now you can see Marlie gets about an inch, or a little more than an inch. So if that's you, you can set the heels down and just slide the feet away a little bit. We're trying to fine tune and find where you're barely able to lift your heels off. Okay, good. And set down. Now on this final one, go ahead and slide them away further. Maybe this is obvious, but if you're not able to get your heels off, you want to bring those feet closer to you. Okay? And then once you've found your spot where it feels like a lot of effort to get a barely amount of lift off the floor, that's where we're going to work. Okay? So brace here, hands on thighs or on the floor, whatever helps you sense that your hips are not going to move. Ask your toes to get heavy, and then make those toes as heavy as possible to try to lift your heels, making sure that you really clear them off the ground. And then while we're holding this, I want you to try to use that lift action to push into any amount of stretch you can find on the top side of your ankle and foot, and hold that, maybe even cramping your low calf area for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Relax. I thought I maybe caught a face of Kinstretch here for a second. Okay? So we'll do one more rep just like that. So brace your body. Keep everything still. As your toes get heavy, your heels get light. And if you didn't feel the cramp last time, send more and more and more to the back of the calf until you are truly flirting with that cramp here. For 5, 4, 3. Can you lengthen the front of your ankle anymore? And relax. Good. Okay. So now grab your towel, roll it up into this little coil so that we have a little cushioning here to go right behind the back of your knee. And you do want, about 3 inches. So a bath towel probably won't be enough, but a pillow might work just fine. And then placing that behind your right knee and pointing your toe, we're going to be working on the quad strength needed to fully straighten your knee, which in this angle might feel like not too intense, and it'll just be the signal of pushing the back of your knee into the pillow or towel so that your foot comes off the ground. Okay, perfect. Now, that might feel like some good work and some clear contraction here, but we really want to bring that quad as short as possible. So lean yourself forward, either limiting by a hamstring stretch, if that tells you that's as far as your body can go, or tilting your tailbone up to try to get that lean forward even further, okay? Because if the hamstring is stretching, then the opposite side is shortening, and that's really what we're after here. So find your end range, camp your arms out in a way that feels supported. Yeah, give you a little more space. And then we're just gonna do reps here of pulling that kneecap up, contracting the quad to lift the heel. So go ahead and join us. And then keep that quad working by just lowering the heel but not relaxing it down, and then right back up. As you get a sense for this, instead of letting your body fall back, which is what it might try to do, each time you lift your knee, try to bring thigh to belly and belly to thigh more. So it's like you're clamping down that front of your hip even as you're pulling that kneecap up. Again, a cramp signal from anything in the top of the thigh is a good sign, and you want to move towards that. 10 more seconds. Good. controlling the lower, and then right back up to a powerful contraction in the top of your thigh. And relax. Great stuff. Let that leg melt and bring the pillow or towel under the left knee. Now on this side too, you're going to want to work yourself into your end range position. So that might be indicated by a hamstring stretch. Also, just a note that your other leg might feel more comfortable in a different shape. So you might bend this knee, send it out to the side, whatever you need so that you can really focus on hamstring stretch and then quad lock. Okay? Now just do one taste test movement. Pull that kneecap up to fully straighten the leg and see how that feels in the quad. Once you've done one rep, you might be able to lean a little further forward, and then let's work from there. Hands are heavy. Start to straighten your knee and lift your heel. As you do, trying to pull your belly to your thigh and your thigh to your belly. Keep closing down that front of your hip as you work on that quad strength. Great work. 15 more seconds here. Keeping your toe pointed. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Bueno. Okay, great stuff. Now let that go, bend your knees, and lean back against whatever you had found on the floor. We're going to do another set of this plantar flexion work, but now we're going to add in something that was actually new for me to learn about this, which is just what is asked of the toes and forefeet in a ballet type situation of plantar flexion. So for this one, I hope I get this right because Marlie kind of walked me through it before we started. So to work on that position and that shape, we're going to start as we did last round of lifting the heels and then asking for further flexion of the forefoot and toes. So just watch one rep first. You're going to use that shape and setup where your heels can barely come off the ground and then curl and round the toes to get further until you're in that full toe point, rounding your toes over, okay, and relax down. Now, yeah, I was going to say, with that amount of lift, I'd ask Marlie to go further out. Again, if you're not getting any lift, you'd want to bring your feet in. All right, here we go. Brace your body. Use heavy toes to lift your heel up. Find end range plantar flexion. And then keep that as you round and curl your toes into the floor. And try to round your forefoot joints and hold this. This is a direct highway to Cramp City for your feet and calves. So enjoy that for 3, 2, and 1. Relax. Now, if you were really cramping and it felt like the muscles just seized, totally you could just give yourself a little toes up moment, stretch out the bottom of your feet. And then this next time, you're going to try to flirt with that cramp a little more without letting it go into a full reflexive contraction. All right, here we go. Lift your heels. Find that effort. And then add to that effort the curling of your toes. Good. And the rounding of your forefoot. Trying to shorten the bottom of your feet even more. For 5, 4, 3, 2, and slow motion melt away of that intensity. Good. All right. Let's go ahead and get one final set in for the quads here. So for this guy, yeah, you're going to place that under your right side. The upgrade on this one will be that we're just going to do a hold, but that hold is going to be incorporating maybe a little bit more of your quad tissue. So go ahead, find your end range here by leaning your body forward and looking for that stretch. Maybe going further by lifting your tail feathers and tilting your pelvis. All of this should lengthen the back of the thigh and therefore shorten the front of the thigh. And then do try to get your hands like on either side of the thigh or even on either side of the calf, whatever feels strongest and most supportive for you. And then let's start up this first rep. Toes pointed, lock the knee to lift the leg just like before. Now we're holding that, making the hands heavier and heavier, and now asking for thigh to come toward belly, belly toward thigh. Maybe imagining that someday your whole leg lifts away from the towel. For 5, 4, not letting the knee bend, not letting the toes go. 1, and relax everything. Okay? Let's do 2 more holds just like that. Really trying to get this shortening tissue to work as hard as possible. Hands braced. Tail feathers lifted and toes pointed. Lock that knee out to lift the foot. And then hands get heavier and heavier to try to pull the thigh towards your stomach or towards your chest. Feeling more and more contraction on the front of the thigh. For 3, 2, 1, and relax. Good. Last rep, lift those tail feathers, find that stretch. That stretching tissue, you can think of it almost like a rubber band that we need to be strong enough to stretch out. Okay, so that strength comes from toe pointed, kneecap locking to lift the foot, and then further contracting that quad by trying to lift the back of the knee away from the towel while the leg stays straight. Hold it, team. Flirt with that cramp. Take a tour of Cramp Town. 3, 2, 1, and relax. Nice. All right. Shift that towel over to the other side. And we're going to melt down your left leg. So get comfy. Find the stretch on the back of the left thigh. Lift those tail feathers to fine-tune that stretch, and then point the toe. Good. And then with hands firmly braced on the ground, lock that knee, straighten the leg out, and then begin asking that straight leg to get lighter and lighter on the towel so that you can further shorten that quad stuff on the top of your thigh. For 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. Great. Okay. Now the tough part about this drill is going to be keeping your spine from rounding to accommodate this task in the knee. So just take an extra moment, find your stretch, lift your tail feathers, get strong through your upper body, and then go for the drill. Toe points, knee locks, try to lift that straight leg off the towel, but no, it's not going to move anywhere. It's not even what we're after. We're after contraction in the thigh. 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. Yes, you might be noticing your knee trying to bend, your foot trying to come out of point. We're just trying to keep all of those things happening as you're making your leg lighter. Final rep, find your stretch, point your toe, lock that knee out, and then try to bring the locked leg light on the towel, but don't be hyper-focused on actually moving. Instead, hyper-focus on the sensation of contraction and ramp that up even hotter for 4, 3, 2, 1, and a slow motion chilling out of that contraction. Wow, great job. All right. Let that towel go, come up to standing, and we're going to finish up with just a little bit more input now directly for the hip. And here's where you might want your hand on a countertop or on that wall or chair, whatever you're going to use, so that your other hand is free to hold your thigh. You're going to grab your shin or the back of your thigh here. Yep, either way. It just depends on how much hip flexion is available for you. And then bring that leg out to the side. Okay, so in this shape, you might find you can get really far, but the standing leg bends or your body turns. We don't want to go that far. We just want to bring the hip into as much abduction as possible, then pulling it up into as much flexion as possible, and then brace your body, get super strong, and while your arm's still supporting the leg, ask the hip crease to start getting tighter and tighter, stronger and stronger, until you can feel that you could take your hand away and the leg would stay still. So this is a passive range hold for this angle of hip abduction for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Grab that thigh, pull it in a little tighter, a little more out to the side, but don't let your body turn. And we get our second of 2 reps. Brace, turn on your hip crease, then take the hand away and hold. Constantly feeling like you're trying to lift your heel higher without letting your standing leg bend. 3, 2, and slowly melt that leg down to the floor to feel, okay, what was really responsible for that position? All right. You can go ahead and turn around or just switch your hands, whatever works. And we're going to do the same drill here. So grab your shin or your thigh, pull that leg out to the side, and just notice how far can you move it without your pelvis or back moving and without your standing knee bending. And then once you've found end range, keep holding onto that leg and just turn on your hip crease stuff that would pull that thigh in towards your armpit, and then take your arm away so the leg stays as still as possible, realizing that it might have dropped a little bit, and that's okay. 3, 2, 1, rescue that leg. Good. Okay, and then second rep, maybe a little closer to your body. Really keep the arm supporting so you can turn on as much contraction as possible, and then take the hand away, keeping the leg still in space and holding as close to your passive end range as possible. 3, 2, 1, and slow motion parachute to the floor. Okay, and now for the final hold. This kind of pulls a bunch of pieces together for us. So go back to your first leg. It's going to be basically the same setup, but now we're going to be working with a little bit of knee extension or maybe full knee extension. So Marlie, show us the dancey thing that many dancers can do of a little straight leg out to the side. I won't even say many dancers. Some amazing movers can do this.
Some can do a lot higher.
Yeah, some can do a lot more. So every body is different. But if this is available for you, then I'd have you grab your calf. If you're like me, not so available, then I'm going to be working again with the thigh, but all of us are going to work at this position into as much knee extension as possible before releasing the arm. Okay, so pull yourself out to the side while still holding your leg. Straighten your knee as much as you can, good, actively, and if you want to support the leg here, that's fine. Now brace, turn your body tissue on, turn on that hip crease so the leg is going to stay still, and then slowly take your hand away and hold it. 5, 4, standing tall. 3, 2, keep holding it high, and slow motion parachute to the floor. We'll just do 1 here. Okay? Because I'm thinking that should feel like a maximum effort drill. Good. Okay, turn around, get the other side. Whenever we're working maximum effort, it's a trade-off of the quality of the position, quality of the input, and the amount of the input. So right now I'm going for a little less amount, but maybe keep that quality just as high, all right? So stand tall, keep your left leg straight, pull the leg out to the side, and then straighten your knee actively as much as you can. Get set here, and then turn on your hip crease tissue so that you're gonna hold that leg, maybe trying to get it light in your hand before now taking your hand away and holding as close to this passive range as possible. Fighting for that knee as straight as you can, that hip height for 3, 2, parachute that leg down and relax. All right, folks, very nice job. Again, very curious to hear how this lands in your body and also how it might fit into those other activities you get up to outside of Kinstretch. And otherwise, hope you have a great day. See you soon.